Hey everybody, it's Brandon, and I have got another great interview. I hope with these two gentlemen with Defenders of Kobold, and it's Chuck Kranz and Adam Rose. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Good.
So you've got a Kickstarter going, and we're trying to get
Yeah.
people out there to know about it, which is one of the most difficult things about all these products that are out there. Is you got so much stuff coming at you, and we are going to try to let people know about Skin City. So Chuck, if you would introduce yourself, let us know a little bit about
Yeah.
history and your channel.
Yes. So starting off, I'm Chuck. I run the channel Defenders of Cobalt, but actually today we're talking about Cannon Otter Studio, which is the publishing company. And we're doing a thing. We're doing a Kickstarter for Skin City. I don't remember what you asked me. I get off topic real quick.
That's fine. Just about yourself, like what do you like?
Oh yeah.
What do you play?
Yeah.
Whatever you like to tell people about yourself.
Sure, yeah. Well, mainly I run my Twitch channel, Defenders of Cobalt. We play a lot of I like DCC. It's always fantastic. Right now we're doing the second edition Night Below campaign, running through using DCC. We're doing got what Pathfinder second edition. I mean, I've played a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
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 That's definitely like me too. I'm kind of a dabbler, and you get people that are just like solo into one game, and
Yeah.
it's difficult to branch out. What was your first game? Do you remember like getting back into the hobby?
Yes. I am still recently new to the hobby, so my first game was D&D 4th edition.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that's what I started out with. I went to Hastings one day, and I'm like, I know they got some Shadowrun books because I love the Sega Genesis Shadowrun game.
Yeah.
I want to buy it. Just look at the cool stuff. They didn't have it, so I'm like, I'm pissed. I want to buy something else to make myself feel better. So I bought one of the starter boxes that were out at that time, and I'm like, oh, this is all right. So I made my friends come over, and I said, listen here, you punks, we're gonna play this game, and you're gonna like it. And we've been playing stuff ever since.
That's great. You got hooked, I guess, huh?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. And Adam, how about you? How did you have you start? How'd you start role playing? And
Well, sure. Yeah, I grew up in a time period where um, D&D was satanic,
okay,
and my Christian mother did not allow that to happen. So I didn't start playing D&D until I was like 18 or 19, and my first edition was second edition, and that was I played a couple of games, but it didn't really stick. And then the first game that I played for actual campaigns was Vampire the Masquerade.
oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I really cut my teeth on learning how to role play. And within a week of playing that, I was thrown into the GM role.
Oh
So
wow.
I had to learn the hard way for that too. So, but I had a lot of fun with that group. And since then, other games that I've played and really liked are Heart, the City Beneath. A lot of the Free League games I got into Mutant Year Zero quite a bit. Alien, we've played that a lot with a group we stream with called the Lollygaggers.
Okay.
And yeah, so just I'll try anything. And I enjoy role playing in general.
I think that's great. I feel like I'm exactly like you guys, where I will play just about anything. So many people they don't want to learn other systems, and it's like it's kind of difficult to get them together as it is. So you're kind of like me, where second edition. That's where I started. And the thing that's funny, you mentioned the Satanic Panic, is that to me when I was younger, that like only intrigued me more. Like if they had not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they had not said anything about it, I probably wouldn't have seen it because I remember flipping through like local stations and it had like the religious channel and they
Hmm.
were talking about D&D and I was like, what's D&D? What is this? You know, it was like,
Yeah.
wow, really? Oh, so it was really one of those things where it's like, if you just, I tell people, I saw this in the dentist office. It said, ignore your teeth and they'll go away. And that's exactly the same thing I think about when you have something that you're trying to get rid of. Like, you just brought it to light, but no, second edition is same with me, and that's great. But we're here to talk about your Kickstarter, and I'm going to be straight with everybody that's watched. I didn't want to do any research because, like I've told Chuck and Adam, a lot of people, there's so many games out there. I don't want to assume that anybody knows anything about it. So I'm going to kind of, just ask some basic questions so everybody out there that's watching this will know exactly kind of the basis for what the game is and what you're going to get should you back the Kickstarter, how it's going to be different, what it's going to give you that's going to kind of be, something that's unique to this Kickstarter. So first off, what system, what game is this based off of?
Yeah. So it's built on Mark of the Odd, which is like the I forget the term, but the system, the core system for Into the Odd games. It's in that OSR kind of genre. It's very lightweight. It's D20 based. It is a roll under game where you have your attributes, and then to accomplish a test, you roll a D20 and you hit at or under. Um, so it's built on Mark of the Odd, Into the Odd. You'll see games like Electric Bastion Land, Mouse Ritter, Into the Odd itself. Those are all built on the same kind of system. Um, the thing with the Into the Odd games that I really it really grabbed me is the character creation. Character creation is very fast, which is fantastic. But the cool thing is, um, you roll up your stats, and then based on your stats, you consult some tables, and that tells you who your character is. So, like I think in like Electric Bastion Land, it's like how much money you have and like one of your other stats, and then that will tell you like what your class is. Mouse Ritter. I've played a lot of it. I don't remember the exact details of it at the moment, but like our previous game, Teenage Odyssey, was also built on Mark of the Odd. So when you roll up your character and your stats, you consult what was it, your starting cash and your
In your luck.
luck, and that tells what kind of teenager you were in the 90s. And in Skin City, I've really doubled up on that with the character creation. That's the thing that really drew me into the End of the Odd games is just character creation. It's very random. I like the play where they lay kind of character creation, and this really digs into that in a fun way.
That's great. Yeah, that sounds. I like that. I like character creation. I think it's one of the main things. I think with a lot of people get started with a game, they look at the character creation and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
goes from there. You're kind of like, well, how do I make my character? And
Yeah,
is it doing anything different? So I can
yeah.
see how that would be, a draw to the game. So what exactly is Skin City?
Okay, so Skin City. I want you to imagine an apocalypse, unknown time in the future. Something terrible has happened. The dead now roam the earth. All the creatures of your nightmares are out there: skeletons, zombies, vampires, mutants, like anything along those lines, roam the wastelands. The last remnants of humanity have retreated into their last bastion, a giant walled city that we refer to as Skin City. They they live their life there. Things are okayish. It's resemblance of how things used to be before the end of the world. Um, and things are going pretty good in Skin City, but there's a new problem that's cropping up, and it is a cult of skeletons that worship a bone god by the name of Vertebrus Major. And Vertebrus Major is sending skeletons into Skin City. They are disguised wearing meat suits, so they look just like a regular person. And until the skeletons take enough damage, they seem like a regular person. Once they take enough damage, their meat suit fails and they're revealed as an animated skeleton. They're working on behalf of this cult. And the thing with Skin City is you're playing as those skeletons. So you are the secret skeletal infiltrators breaking into Skin City, taking on missions in the name of Vertebrus Major for unknowable reasons. I mean, it's bizarre. These things don't make sense. trying to make sense of the human world, with your only context being essentially, you know, old broadcast TV. Um, so it's very much exploring humans without real context as a skeleton.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
wild. How did you come up with that? Like, was there anything that inspired you,
Yeah.
or were you just like drinking one night and you just like, "Ooh," you know?
No, it's actually it was a handful of years ago. I was running a campaign, and it was the old, I think it was a second edition campaign, Thunder Rift. And we were using the Age of Heroes system, but I'm like, let's take Thunder Rift, let's spice it up. So there's that card game called The Quiet Year. Um, so we all sat down and we did a round of The Quiet Year to spice up the Thunder Rift setting. And I don't remember all the exact steps, but in that game, we're like, oh yeah, up here, this section of the map is under the control of animated skeletons. And we're like, oh, that's really great. Okay. So then we kept playing up on it. And they're super mysterious. They don't let anyone in or out of their area. They protect themselves. They call it the bone curtain. Like, that block of information. And then it continues like, yeah, but they send spies out dressed up as humans. And so in the game, like I gave the players the option, like if you want to play as a secret skeleton from the bone curtain, please DM me privately and we'll figure it out. Well, everyone did. And everyone was a secret skeleton, and no one else knew that everyone else was a secret skeleton. And it was just playing that campaign got me thinking, like, what else can I do with this really weird, fun idea? And that's what eventually turned into Skin City.
That's fantastic, man. I love that. I love how something can just kind of roll, and that you
Yeah.
talk about that a lot of, some games now that like we talked about, I know we mentioned the Alien RPG,
Yeah.
and like, there's, where you can be kind of a traitor in the group. And it's funny to think that everybody would message you and be like, "Hey, I want to be the traitor. I want to be the guy."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a neat mechanic, and I don't have a problem being forced into like a role playing aspect of that, because I find it as a challenge.
Yeah.
But I think that's great. And so you said, you know what, I've got to put this out there to the masses and let them try to
Yeah.
play one of these cool. And now, what made you make it be a post apocalyptic game?
I was just trying to think of a way, because I do I like the blending of my fantasy and my sci-fi, and I like to take things that don't make a lot of sense about us and figure out a way to kind of like satirically like poke at it. So
Gotcha.
that's where I would took the original idea, which was high fantasy. I'm like, let's do this more sci-fi. So that's where I shifted it. That way we can, make fun of everything that we're doing today in the game, and it can still be, without breaking immersion.
Gotcha. Yeah, you go you get the best of both worlds, really. When you meld your fantasy and your post-apocalyptic or your science fiction, you got a
Yeah.
lot you can draw from. And Adam, what exactly what part are you playing in this Skin City?
I'm playing the role of publisher for the most part, but I'm also working on Bestiary, which Chuck likes to call the Monster Boyfriend catalog.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'm working on that with Nick O'Hare, another one of our developers.
Okay.
And also, Nick O'Hare is creating instructional videos for Skin City, just telling you about character creation
Yeah.
and setting. And then I am doing some of the video editing for that, so putting images on the screen while he talks and
Yeah. If you
jump
check
cutting.
out the Canon Otter YouTube, you can check out all of Nick's videos as he explains all of my really stupid ideas in a very concise and followable way. So
Well, that's good. That's good. You got someone else to kind of put it all together and put it out there in a good package. Which brings me to the next thing, is what you just mentioned, is Cannon Otter. What's the
Mhm.
story behind that name?
It's a long one, very convoluted too. But
Mhm.
we like the basic consensus behind it is, we were forming a new studio, um, and we we knew we wanted some sort of like logo or mascot to have for our games, and we thought it would be kind of cool if we had um, the logo change for every game. So, like, if it's a Western, somehow maybe this mascot is wearing a cowboy hat or shooting a revolver or something like that. And so our artist is still working on that logo for this one. So we just used it from our last game for the Kickstarter. But one of our other developers is absolutely obsessed with otters, and we thought the play on words for cannon fodder um, would make
Oh,
well for Cannon Otter Studios.
and I'm completely slow because I just now got that when you said it. I was like, but no, that's cool. I like that. I like cool logos, and of course the changing thing is neat. Um, so what? See, I'm looking here at the Kickstarter, and it looks like it's got everything you need to play the game. So you don't need any other book than this. Is that correct?
No, it's one book. It's going to have everything. It's going to have, your lore, your information. It's going to have all the rules you need as a player. It's going to have information for the GM. It's going to have a bunch of tables. That way, the GM can quickly roll up a session. Um, it's going to have the Monster Boyfriend catalog that Adam and Nick are working on, and yeah, it's going to have everything. And we even got some very cool special guest people who might be writing adventures for it if we hit them stretch goals.
Yeah, that would be great. Stretch goals are always they're so enticing, and
Yeah.
it's always like, man, we've got to get to this level. I know I've had that with a couple of the Kickstarters I've backed, where I'm like, boy, I hope everybody can. I can only put in so much money, but that's cool that it's going to be all by itself. And I take it, obviously, with the system that it uses, it's going to be kind of compatible with other releases. If Because a lot of people, they just love to take the whole kitchen sink and just throw it all in there and play with other books and stuff. So I take it it'll be compatible with everything else.
It'll be closely compatible with other End of the Odd, Mark of the Odd games. I do make some changes to it where your standard like Mark of the Odd stuff uses 3 stats. I like a little more variety, so I've thrown in a 4th stat. And I'm also a huge fan of anything that has a built-in luck mechanic.
Okay.
So my version includes a luck mechanic, so you can burn your luck for rerolls or maxing out your damage.
That's sweet DCC stuff that we've been doing in those
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
Yeah, I like luck a lot too, and it's always fun to have, especially a character like in DCC, like a halfling that makes a lot of luck
yeah.
for people, or like a thief or something. So, um, so if you're gonna pick Skin City up, what is some of? Is it just you've got like a PDF and a print? Is that what's going on?
So for the Kickstarter, we've got our PDF tier. We'll have a print and PDF tier. We've got a couple higher tiers. The first is you can get a defaced print copy where we'll have our in-house artist, Jordan. Adam's pointing at one of his cats.
There you go.
We'll make a doodle in your book, and then we'll send it to you, so you can get a defaced copy. And we also have our, was it all the bones tier, where um, you'll get a physical copy, you'll get digital copies, and then you and like I think it's 4 or 5 of your friends, I'll run an online game for you,
Oh,
and I'll
cool.
make sure that each of your friends also has a digital copy of Skin City.
That's fantastic. Ooh, what is, as of now, what is the estimated time of delivery for this game?
Um, it's early to mid next year. I think April, May, maybe March. It's on the Kickstarter. I don't remember the exact date, but it's early mid next year,
Okay.
2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said in the game that you're going to be these skeletons. You're going to have meat suits on. So will you still have classes based off your meat suit? Is that how it works?
So there's two parts to it. In character creation, you'll take two stats, and you're going to find out what your cover story is, and that will give you your meat suit and your meat suit ability, because each meat suit has its own special thing it can do. Um, some of the ones that I really like is there is the boxer, where you are, trying your best to become the legendary boxer. You're going to get and win that boxing ring because you're the best boxer. And your special ability is that you can put anything in a box anytime, anywhere, no matter how big or small it is. So instead of being, like the athletic, I'm a boxer, you're just a guy putting stuff in cardboard boxes. Um, the other one I got that I'm a big fan of is the mime. And the mime is the most overpowered and broken thing in the game, and it's absolutely fantastic because as a mime, as long as you don't talk, you can mime something so hard that it becomes reality.
Oh wow.
Um, so, Adam, what were some of the things that you mimed into reality last time?
First thing I did was somebody was about to see us that shouldn't, so I just went and blew a poison dart at them to make them fall asleep. There was a
Yeah.
boss that we were fighting, and so I did the pantomime wall thing to make sure that there was a wall that they couldn't cross. And then I had to make a second test to just pull down a window for the person with the gun to shoot the boss.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Um, and then, so while your meat suit is intact, so like most Mark of the Odd games, you have your hit point pool. In Skin City, we're calling it your flesh points. And then once your flesh points are depleted, any additional damage starts coming out of your strength. So in Skin City, once your flesh points are depleted, your skin suit fails and it just like explodes off of you in this gory mess, and you're revealed as a skeleton. Now, the once your flesh suit is destroyed, you lose access to your flesh suit cover story ability, but you then gain access to your special skeleton ability.
Okay. Great.
So it's multi-tiered. You've got one really cool ability while you've got your flesh suit on, and then as soon as your flesh suit fails, then you get your special skeleton ability. And skeleton abilities are, um, we call them hobbies. Um, like, oh, what are some of the good one? Like
Well,
consume. Well,
my
yeah,
my ability that I didn't get to use because I didn't get my meat suit destroyed, and I was really excited about was my skeleton knew brain jitsu.
yeah. Uh,
And go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, Brain Jitsu, he studied the ancient art of summoning things, but with the specialization of he can summon brains. So if you're a skeleton and your hobby is Brain Jitsu, it's once a session, you can summon a brain from something that has a brain.
Oh wow.
Uh, so it's a one shot. It's insta kill. But it's stupid and it's fun. Uh,
It
some of
is.
the other
Yeah.
there's consume triplets where like you're the ultimate power thruple, and you can rearrange your bones to change your stats depending on what you need to do. What are some other good ones?
A bird cosplayer.
Yeah, skeleton that loves cosplaying as birds. So you figured out how to rearrange your bones to kind of give you wings, and you can fly short distances because of that. Um,
That's
it's a
very
lot of really nonsensical, funny, and stupid things, and it's really good. Phalange flinger, you're really good at shooting your fingers off at people uh, to hurt them. Uh,
Skeletons love looking at themselves in mirrors.
that actually changed, Adam.
Oh, okay. Because
Uh, there used to be the portable mirror, and I changed it because I've got a good friend, Dan, in Defenders of Cobalt. He's got terrible luck. the worst luck in the like ever. So I'm like, how can he weaponize that? So I came up with the skeletal ability, the Deluckifier, where you can channel your bad luck to hurt people. Um, so yeah, uh, yeah. There's a weapon B if you want to play as just Wolverine skeleton, where you're completely
Oh,
invincible and
got
really heavy. But yeah, so yeah,
lots of
there's two
choices.
parts. Yeah, and
Lots of choices there.
it's very much randomized. So you roll a couple of stats, consult a giant table. That's your human hobby or your human cover story and ability. You consult another table with a couple of your other stats, and that's your skeletal hobby and your skeletal ability. So it's all super randomized.
That's great. And I take it first, is it a thing where you can get a different meat suit, a flesh suit whenever for the next mission or whatever he sends you out to do something, you can change that up. So it's not like permanent, I guess.
So the game right now is very much aimed at one shots. I
Oh,
have been currently thinking around about how we can make it for people who do want to continue on.
they will. They will.
Yeah,
They always do.
yeah,
Even my little pocket fantasy game, I just told them exactly what the scope of it was, and
yeah,
boy, that did not suffice whatsoever. Because
yeah,
if they like something, and I think a game like this, where it's obvious that you guys just said, you know what, let's just be creative, and I think that's really, I think with the last this whole part here of role playing, how it's gotten, you've had your D&D and stuff that's very set in what it does, and then kind of the stuff that we like, obviously, is this whole other genre where it's like, you know what, let's not be constrained by this. Let's embrace our imagination and go nuts.
yeah,
And I think that's where you're going to have people who enjoy a game like this. They know that it's, do whatever you want, come up with something outlandishly crazy, see if you can kind of top it. And people, if they're going to love this game, they'll want more of the game.
yeah,
That's just all there is to. And if you don't give it to them, they will make it themselves. They're, even if you say this is a game where you literally only flip a coin, they're like, okay, well, what if I have two coins? What if I can flip four coins?
yeah,
I'm going to have a thing where you get bigger coins as you go up, and they're going to change it. They want
yeah,
more. Even though I love single shot type games, like one shot type games. When you know that's the scope, boy, people will want so much more out
yeah,
of it. That could be something that you face with the game too. So
yeah.
that's cool. And do you do you consider, is it kind of a horror game? Like, is that an element to it, or is it
It's
kind of a fun kind of Halloween
yeah,
type game?
it's definitely. I mean, it's built on the bones of like horror because I mean, you're playing skeletons breaking into the last human city in an apocalypse, but I think it follows more along the lines of a comedic satirical kind of game.
Yeah, I would hearken it to the same attitude as the movie Ravenous,
Okay.
where like it is horrific. Like that movie is horrific, but it is a satire. So
Yeah,
um, like I've had some characters that have done some pretty terrible things to humans out of necessity, and yeah, but the overall theme of it was comedic, or at least tongue in cheek.
That's great. What type scenarios are you like? I don't know if you can kind of spoil stuff, but like you're sent into the last bastion.
yeah,
What's something that you might do in there? Like what would maybe be a mission that you're on?
yeah.
Well, we were sent on a mission once by Vertebrates Major to find out who's the boss, and so
Shoot light.
we went to the History of Television Museum that is in Skin City, and we went to find out who's the boss, and we found out it was all three of them.
Oh,
And then they formed like a mecha monster, and then we had to fight the mecha monster of all three of them.
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Other things that I've done with it, a couple weeks ago, we did the a one shot over on the Lollygaggers, Adventures in Lollygagging, where there was a haunted house that the humans were all talking about. And so the skeletons had to go investigate and find out, are they really in there just hanging out with ghosts? But they didn't realize it was like a Halloween, you know, haunted house event that you go and buy tickets to.
Yeah, we just thought it was a portal to the edge of hell.
Yeah. I also had one where they had to investigate and figure out, like, I keep seeing references to eggs, but they're all different. Find out exactly what this egg is and why they're all the same thing, but they look so different. You've got scrambled, you've got an omelet, which is somehow still an egg. You've got over easy. So they went to a local culinary school and had to nonchalantly work their way through while investigating the mysteries of an egg and how it can be so many things, but still
Wow.
just an egg.
This sounds great. This sounds fun. This sounds, right up my alley. So these are missions that this vertebrus major, right?
Yeah.
He's sending you on. Is there anything you can tell us about him? Do you have, like, even though you say, like, why are you being sent into this place? Do you yourself personally have, like, the reason why?
I know the reason why,
Okay,
but it's a secret.
good.
Um, but yes, there is. Vertebrus Major has a reason why Vertebrus Major does what she does, but it's unknowable to the skeletons. Because the one thing that I really like with Skin City is that it is told from the perspective of the skeletons. So the skeletons, they don't lack context. They were created by Vertebrus Major, so they don't have history. They don't understand how long is a long time. They're going in essentially like newborn infants, not really understanding anything around them. But yeah, Vertebrus Major has her reasons, and um, it's fun. And also, if you roll lucky enough on the skeletal hobby table, you can actually play as Vertebrus Major, one of her oh, I forget the term I use, but
Avatars.
that's it. That's the word.
Yeah, good word.
Um,
Good word.
yeah, and as Vertebrus Major, you can just change the other skeletons that are with you freely,
Oh wow.
and essentially just make them re-roll their character at any point in time,
Oh, that's awesome.
and to get them all new stats and abilities and attributes.
That's great. And it's a post-apocalyptic game. What like technology could you come across in this game, either for you to use or see?
So yes, it is. It is post-apocalyptic. Before the apocalypse, it was slightly more advanced in the future. And one of the things that I flirt with but don't say outright, because I feel like to the skeletons it's just mundane. Everyone knows this information. We don't need to talk about it more. Is that there were aliens that had shown up to Earth at one point and were hanging out with the skeleton or with the humans. But after the apocalypse, they just disappeared. So there is alien tech. There's one of my favorite things is that the at one point the humans switched over from like television to VR to AR, but eventually they completely switched over to a new form of entertainment provided to them by their alien allies, called sensory bombardment. Um, so it's just these helmets that they put in, and they bombard you with so much information that it's very much like the super immersive, I don't VR just to the extreme, where it's you are there. Like what was that the
Like
Ready Player One, just
okay, or like
legit.
the
Yeah.
chips that you can get in like a cyberpunk game that like you put in your head.
Yeah, like a
Yeah,
sim.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
Cyberpunk had that. Cyberpunk 2020 had something like that, like
Yeah.
soft skills or something, like chips that you could like
Yeah.
slot, and they would it or like I guess kind of like Neo in the Matrix, where it
Yeah.
kind of dumps it into your head, and that's like your
Yeah.
reality. So wow, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of stuff. What do you know what the page count's going to be like? Is there hopes for something later on, another product maybe down the road?
Page count, I'm not sure. Our last book, Teenage Odyssey, what was that, like 80 pages?
Okay.
Yeah, so with the additions, maybe 100 to 120.
Possibly it could go a little beyond that. But and for what's next, as far as Skin City goes, I don't have anything planned at the moment for continuing Skin City. At least myself, it's not my next project or two on my radar. But Adam's talked about doing stuff for it.
Yeah, there's lots of things I would love to do for Skin City. Um, and that would just require us to see how well it does. You know, if it's something that doesn't hit very well with people, then maybe it's not worth like making a board game out of it. Because I would love to make like a Castle Siege board game out of it, or something along those lines. But you know, we'd have to make sure that the theme is still correct of the satirical nature with the game.
Gotcha.
Um, and so yeah, more modules, things like that, that we could have done. I think this one is a little bit easier to expand on than Teenage Odyssey, just simply because our art is in house. With our first game, it was done by a terrific artist, but you know, we just got to have the funding to make sure that happens. So if we want to do something further, we may go to a Kickstarter or something like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
No, that sounds great. And of course, immediately when you said that about a board game, I immediately thought back to my childhood and kind of like those crazy, weird science like toys you could get where you had like a
Yeah.
skeleton body and you put like some sort of like Play-Doh on it. You know, for some reason that just
Yeah.
popped in
Yeah,
my mind.
yeah.
You said that. So I remember you could like drop them and they like dissolve, you know, and it was like that mad scientist toys. I was always a big fan of that, or like ripping you, but they just something that popped in my head. And so, Adam, you've obviously played it, and this is one thing I gather. You know, you come up with an idea and you think it's great, and then you sit down in front of people. And how has obviously, Adam, you enjoy it? How has the reception been? Because I know a lot of times players really like it, and then you're just kind of like amazed. You're like, wow, this is really something that,
Yeah,
and it just fuels you. You go. So how has
yeah.
it been playing it?
So it takes you know, a few minutes to like maybe half an hour for everything to truly click. And so the book will give you some ideas of what to do, but like one thing I'm fond of doing to help as a player, to help like explain it to other people, is like whenever we meet an NPC, I'll be like, the weather is the weather.
Yeah. There's going to be tips in the book for your skeletal infiltrator on how to how to interact with humans in a way that doesn't arouse suspicion. So there are common greetings. There are, you know, common things like when in doubt, do this and it will throw off suspicion. Little just flavor inserts to help out your skeleton.
Yeah, there was a time where we had made a grisly scene, and I forgot until after the moment, but there is something in the manual for skeletons that says whenever there's something that you can't explain or an awkward moment you need to get out of, just slap your knee and say, "Well, what are you going to do?" and walk away.
And I
Yeah.
guess
And
that's where it comes from, the whole skeleton, you know, viewpoint that you can really, you know, get into that when you're writing stuff,
yeah,
you know.
if I would have remembered that, then our party would have gotten out of it scot free. But I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so, uh, have you played it with people who had no clue whatsoever what they were going into, and how was, if you did, how was their reception to it?
Um, you know, like the yes, we have. We had a friend's dad that we played it with, and he didn't really know too much what's going on. And as soon as it hit him, he was having a great time.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, um, you know, but I think it's pretty easy to get right away. I think the part that's the hardest to get immediately is the fact that um, skeletons not understanding society is ways to have fun,
Yeah.
and lean into, oh, my character doesn't truly know this, so we're going to make this situation awkward, and it's gonna create some hilarious
Yeah.
moments.
It seems like overall a fun game more than any, you know, like, It's not some sort of technical game or tactical thing. It's a
Hmm.
lot of unbridled imagination with what you've created, and then the players are going to be able to really tap into that. Once they kind of really understand it, they'll be able to really tap into that and have a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Is there any? I know some people always ask this. They always want magic or powers, like something beyond just their thing. Is there anything like that at all in the game?
Um, not. I mean, outside of your core abilities, your human cover story and then your meat suit ability, not really. No, I mean, but there's each time you play it, it's going to be wildly different with what you do because there's what 30 different meat suit abilities and 30 different skeletal hobbies. So there's a huge array of what your character can do. There's no magic in it.
Well, there's
As
great
far
jitsu.
there's brain jitsu. So like if you've got a special skeletal ability, um, but yeah, like there's no magical system. You're not going to be like a full on spell slinger. It's very much
Gotcha.
this is your one thing that you need to leverage in really weird and out there ways, and this is your other thing that you need to leverage in really weird and out there ways to really drive it home. But yeah, no, there's
Gotcha.
no magical system
It,
in it.
but there is a bestiary I see. So we're obviously not just fighting humans. So what else are we going to maybe go up against?
What you're Adam?
Yeah, well, we've got all sorts of animals that you could come across, all sorts of, humans that you could come across. But there are other undead out there and supernatural
Mm-hmm.
creatures, like zombies, vampires, horses. You know,
I like that. Zombies, horses, the natural progression.
yeah.
Uh, it's very much clearly because when I gave Adam and Nick the kind of the layout, what I'm thinking for our bestiary, I'm like, horses belong in the supernatural terror section.
Sure.
Any of my products that you come across, horses are usually, if not always, the main enemy because I don't like horses. I
It's
had a
their
bad
eyes.
experience.
Is it their
Yeah.
eyes or what? I don't
It's
know.
just them in general. Like, listen, anything that lays their eggs in holes littered with the corpses of small animals, you can't trust it.
Uh,
That's great. No, I like that. I like that progression though. That was good.
Yeah.
So we this thing needs to get funded. That's our goal here, and we want to let people know about it. My subscribers, I look at a lot of OSR games. So I've got people I know that are going to watch this video. They're going to be like, this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
So that's really what the focus of this is all about. Have you ever played a bad role playing game?
I have played role playing games that I absolutely did not enjoy. Yes, but the important part is it can be a really bad system,
Mhm.
but you can still have fun with it.
Sure, sure.
Um, there are definitely I don't want to throw names of these games out there because uh, I or my friends are friends with creators.
Gotcha.
But there was one game that I've played here recently that, in the practice of playing it, I had a really good time. But the information was so, it was presented in a very not good way. And I would just get so mad whenever I had to get into the book to look up information because it was impossible to find anything. You were flipping back and forth. You would find the rule, you would adjust for that rule. And then the next time I'm flipping in that book, I find the rule again, but it's somewhere else and it says something completely different. And it's just,
Oof.
yeah,
It's a nightmare scenario. Yeah, I think we've all
yeah,
had that situation. One thing that's good about this game is that it seems like it's not gonna be a huge tome that you have to try to navigate. And I
no,
think that's ultimately what it is. The bigger the book, the better the organization needs to be. So it seems
yeah,
like with Skin City, yeah, I like games, that I don't have to sit there and be like, oh my god, Sometimes it's nice,
yeah,
Of course, like with Weird Frontiers, it's a huge book.
mhm,
It was crazy to all the stuff that's in there, but it works well, and
it
it's
does.
easily done. But I am also playing in a game. I won't. I think I've said it in one of my things. I have no problem saying it. It's the GI Joe role playing game.
Oh,
It's a fun
nice.
game. but it is the book is just terrible. It's horrible. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know. I just like throwing out some questions that people, see what they think about the hobby. Is there anything that you have something down the road after Skin City? Any more plans that you can talk about? Or are those all top secret?
I mean, I'm happy to talk about my plans.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So
Getting the okay
the
from Adam.
yeah the next thing that we're kind of eyeballing is, what's the name? Tiny Red Dot, Tiny
Tiny
Red
Red
Planet.
Planet. Yeah.
Tiny Red Planet. Change
Okay.
the name. It's based on the Tiny D6 system by Alan Barr of Gallant Knight Games. And it's the 1940s Russian sci-fi.
Wow.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, it's the future that the 1930s and 40s imagined. So, I mean, speaking of one of your past shows, it would have some similar feelings as John Carter of Mars, and it would also have like Buck Rogers, that sort of like Ray Punk feeling behind it.
Yeah.
Um, and so the focus is like a particular. Sorry, let me start over. The premise of the game is that some uh, otherworldly force like found its way to Earth, and that could be either like crash landing on the Earth or something else that I'm being mysterious about. But the all the different nations of the world found like a different section of their technology slash knowledge. So, like one faction discovered all of their technology and robotics. Another faction discovered their ability to mutate genetic code, and another faction discovered their like otherworldly slash other dimensional powers. So they're very like uh, somewhat cult like versus like a closest thing to magic that you'd find in this
Yeah.
setting. And so um, each different planet within a solar system, which would be our solar system, is has like we're claimed by different factions, and so each one is its own like standalone adventure area that you could go in.
Wow. That sounds cool. It seems like a big scope. It seems like a lot of stuff. That looks like a big project.
it's gonna be a big, like the core of it's Tiny D6, so it's not gonna be huge. But then we're gonna have all these planets and things. It's gonna be a chunky book.
That's cool.
But yeah, my personal next project is 1980s retro futurism, where you will be playing as sentient rats in the remainder, like it's going to be apocalypse again, of a shopping mall in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And it's going to be called Mall Rats, where you're playing as sentient rats. Your wasteland is the shopping mall. And just, and Adam always has to help me because I always struggle with staying on mark for 1980s retro futurism because I just go, this is what I want. And Adam's like, no, you have to imagine the future as the 80s imagined. And I'm
Gotcha.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and because there is another project that we have in the works that's also functioning off of 1980s retrofuturism, but
It's a great
like
time. It's great.
yeah, the idea is that like you would have laser guns, you'd have like motion sensors, even like huge machines that you can get in, like power lifters or something like that you've seen in movies and everything like that, but you wouldn't have the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web just wasn't really a focus of what they thought the future would be like. The internet totally was, but like a browser that you could go to websites with just wasn't really a focus of that future. Um, Liquid crystal displays were not a focus of that future. So there's lots of ways in which the technology advanced, but they also thought that you would still have telephone booths.
I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's great. It's kind of like like the Alien RPG. How it's futuristic tech
Yes.
is. And I like that stuff because it gives it a uniqueness. It gives you a visualization that you can see. And if you just said it's like today, I think people kind of go, You know, you kind of like want to take stuff away and
Yeah.
focus in on things, and I think that's the right way to do it. So, so the Kickstarter to get the print and the PDF is just $20. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's great. That's a great deal. And it's going to be through Drive-Thru RPGs, print on
Mhm.
demand service. A lot of people are doing that way. And I think about you know what if that was to go away? What would we do? What a huge blow that would be.
Yeah.
There
You know?
are others out there, but the distribution that they have is truly wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge, and I've used it so many times, and it's been great. I've used other services, and like you said, there's some other great ones out there. But it just kind of popped in my head. I was like, Drive Through RPG. I was like, man, what they've done, and these other companies have done to help people with some great imaginations be able to bring that stuff to life. So. Hopefully, this interview has been helpful for people. Let them know. 'Cause same thing for me. I didn't know that just from reading the Kickstarter. It tells you a lot about it, which is great, but getting that more insight about how your character is going to be. And you answered several questions I already had, especially about like the skeleton having its own ability as well. I almost kind of see it as like a T1000, like a
Yeah.
Terminator type thing, but
Yeah.
it's not strong like that. It's probably not as strong, but I like the fact that the skeleton has an ability to. And
Yeah.
so I wonder, and I don't know if this has come up, kind of my last little question about the actual game is, has anybody thought of like, I need this flesh off of me to get to my skeleton suit? Has that ever come up?
It yeah. There's not an immediate built-in mechanic where people can just shed their suit. So when people need to shed their meat suit, it's usually like, hey, I need you to punch me really hard. But the
That
cool
makes you
thing
bold.
is, yeah, once your meat suit's gone, if you have a friend who has the ability to heal flesh points, your meat suit will reform around you magic girl transformation style, like Sailor Moon.
Okay.
And you'll go from skeleton to having your meat suit and your meat suit abilities again.
That's fantastic. I think it's great. It's a wild imagination. I give you, I've not heard anything like this before. This is pretty neat. And again, tapping into that kind of just letting you be just raw with your imagination and not being, not being held back by anything. I think that's one of the good strengths about this. So, is there anything else you'd like to say, Chuck and Adam, about anything about the role playing game? Like your channel, what's going on in just role
Sure.
playing games in general. What you would like to say is just kind of like
Uh,
you're making the pitch for yourself or whatever you want to say, your little soapbox,
yeah.
whatever. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start it out like back Skin City. It would be really great. Adam says that I'm not allowed to have any more Oreos to snack on until Skin City funds.
Oh,
So
you're like, yeah,
please, back Skin
I
City.
need Oreos.
I
There's so
really
many
like
flavors now.
the toffee crunch Oreos are
Oh, I haven't
amazing.
had those.
How would you know?
You're in
It was
trouble.
pre Kickstarter.
Oh,
Pre
okay.
Kickstarter. Also, if you head to our drive-through, you can buy our first book,
Okay.
Teenage Odyssey,
Uh-huh.
where you are playing as teenagers in the weird 90s, reliving the fever dream of the 90s as a teenager.
Okay.
So check that out. It's like if you took kids on bike and like just fed it a bunch of mushrooms and it got real weird. It's really fun.
That's great.
So yeah, if you had to drive through, go buy our first book, Teenage Odyssey.
Awesome. Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, besides the obvious of please buy our books, it is another thing I'd like to grow would be our YouTube channel. So if you look for Cannon Otter Studio on YouTube, you'll find us and subscribe to us there to get news and info. And if for some reason you just have to know, like, be one of the first people to know anything, we have a Patreon as well that we spill the beans to them first, always.
That's fantastic. And what I will do for those that are watching, and thank you so much for staying all the way to the end of this almost 1 hour long video here, is I will have all those links down in the description. I'll also have a pinned comment for those that don't want to click on that description button or don't even know about it, because a lot of people don't. It's like, if you just click there, you'll see it. So yes, let's back Skin City. Let's get this thing out there. Let's see what it's got. And I thank you very much for coming on, Chuck and Adam. This has been a lot of fun. and really educational for me. Like I said, I want to go into these videos, hopefully like a lot of the viewers, just completely kind of not knowing very much about it. Don't want to read a Kickstarter. Let me hear about it. And so I think y'all have done a great job at letting us see kind of the crazy, wild imagination that you have. And I really appreciate you coming on my channel here. So I'll have a link to that Kickstarter. Please back it. Let's get this thing funded and get it in everybody's hands. So thanks a lot, Chuck and Adam, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks.
Yeah.